Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to see you. Thank you so much for coming. Also in the morning, after also so much is going on. I think we're all running on adrenaline at this point. Is this level of my voice okay for you? Okay. I'm good. I'm really happy to have this microphone because I'm losing my voice. So I want to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. My name is Pyasa, and I'm a somatic sexologist. And what that means is I'm not a talk therapist, as in a talk sexologist. What I do is I help people find pleasure and presence in their bodies, because so many of us have been shut down through our social conditioning and traumas that it is oftentimes difficult for a lot of us to access pleasure. I think to a certain degree we don't even know how much pleasure we could embody. So I'm going to use my notes because I don't remember everything I wanted to share today. So yeah, one of the words that you could use for what I do is de-armoring. If you're not familiar with that word, it's something that happens with like massage therapists work with de-armoring the body. Yeah, so we create, through traumas that happen within our body, our tension is created. So when we have that, we have constriction. And when we have constriction, we don't have circulation. And that can shut down our ability to enjoy pleasure. And a lot of times this especially happens within our pelvic floor. We need that circulation to be able to enjoy pleasure. So I have so much that I want to share. I'm just going to look through here. And yes, so what I want to talk about today is the importance of touch and healthy human touch. And we've been shut down with our touch through our social life. For really, truly, with Becca, I don't know if you saw Becca speaking, and also Mark Passio uses the term trauma-based mind control. And this is really a good word to express what happens. And so a lot of what happens around our sense of touch is that it gets shut down pre-verbally. And the way that this happens is through things that happen to us before we could even speak, as I said, pre-verbally. And things like that, what I'm talking about is even the sense of, okay, I'm a baby and you're trying to feed me, you're my mother, and you have the best intentions for me. You want to feed me, right? But I don't want to eat it. I don't like those peas. So if you can picture a little baby and this mother is having this spoon and they're trying to give it to you and you're like, I don't want it, right? And still they're going to put it in your mouth, right? This is forcing somebody else's will over our will. Yeah, can you see that? So other examples of that could be force feeding, getting a haircut. You could think about little kids who are getting a haircut and they're screaming and they're crying, but they're getting a haircut anyway. They don't want that haircut. Or circumcision. This is one of the biggest ones. I don't know if you've ever seen, it's a really horrible image, and I have it in a PowerPoint that I don't know how to present at the moment. Are you recording this?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, with the circumcision, if you've never seen it, what they do in the hospital is they have this little board and they have straps where they hold down the arms and the legs of an infant child male, of an infant boy, and they circumcise them. I'm sorry, I can see that image is hurting some people, but it's really important to understand, I believe, because this is part of some of the trauma that happens to us as children. And let me just see, I had a few other examples I wanted to remember. Oh yeah, baths. Sometimes we hate getting a bath or a shower, but we have to get a shower anyway. So my point about this is that with these kinds of experiences, and they go on beyond the formatting years, right, our formative years, what most people say is like 0 or age 1 to age 6, age 8. What's happening in our formatting years is that we're being taught to go along with somebody else's agenda. Yeah? We're giving up our will, our control over our body for somebody else's will or desire. Even if that is for our benefit, changing a diaper, and I don't want you to change my diaper right now or give me these peas, right? So we go along with somebody else's agenda, and what ends up happening is that we are either punished for not going along with somebody else's agenda, or we are rewarded, right? So at one point, we realize that if I go along with you and please you and give you what you want and deny my need, I will receive love. I'll receive approval. Everything will be okay, right? So, and so this is at the time when our social emotional or our social engagement system is happening. So this is our programming. This is the trauma-based mind control that we have, that we receive. Pretty much all of us. So what I am saying about all of that, and just a few other examples is, as a child, I really hated wearing clothes. And I think a lot of kids hate wearing clothes. But we're made to wear clothes. So I think you get the idea. Yeah, you get the idea. Yeah. So specifically when it comes to touch, and we're touched against our will, the consequence is that our direct route of pleasure is shut down. And I'm going to explain what that means. So next to the genitals and the lips, our hands have the most connections of nerves in our body, in our pathways, right? So we can receive pleasure through our hands. We can receive pleasure through our whole body, but third, next to genitals and lips, this is where we receive pleasure. So direct pleasure is when I reach out and I touch you and I feel you to receive pleasure through my hands. And what's happening is that the pleasure receptors in my fingers, it's going up my arm, into my brain, and into my pleasure center, and registers as pleasure. So that is the direct route of pleasure. I'm reaching out, and I'm receiving pleasure for me, through my body. And what happens with this people-pleasing thing that we've been taught through shutting down by pleasing other people, this trauma-based mind control about our pleasure, is that now it's easier for me, for all of us, this happens to all of us, to give you pleasure. And when I see that you're happy, like I saw my mom was happy when I ate those peas, now I see my mom's happy, so the route of pleasure is indirect. You're smiling, you're happy, the arrow that was coming through my arm first into my brain and giving me pleasure is now coming from your smiling face into my pleasure center. So that's the indirect route. And that's what most of us are dependent on. And this is where we develop codependency and people-pleasing, I guess, is one of the best ways that I can say that. So basically we realize, we understand that it's not the truth, but we get the message that we have no control over our body, over our pleasure, and the only way I'm going to get it is by getting it from you, right? So the re-education and the reason that my profession exists is about rewiring ourselves by rediscovering our pleasure through our own bodies. Yeah? And let me just say too that both routes of pleasure are important. Of course I want to receive pleasure by giving you pleasure. Yeah? This is important. But also the direct route of pleasure, me receiving pleasure through my own experience, my own somatic, body-based experience, is just as important. They're equally important. It's just sad to me, and I feel like this is just my passion. It's like we need to reclaim our pleasure. And the way that we do that is by healing that. And I guess I can't go into it all now, but I have different modalities that I use to reawaken pleasure in the body. I do sexological body work, which is body-based, is somatic, is body-based body work to help people remember. So that's a lot of times waking up the senses. It includes genital touch. I work with the pelvic floor because so much of what happens through the traumas that we experience is our pelvic floor contracts. And then it's very difficult. That's why, I forget right now, I have it in my notes somewhere, but a huge percentage of women have difficulty receiving pleasure genitally. Like many women can easily have an orgasm clitorally, but the reason that it's difficult for so many women to have genital orgasms through intercourse is because that area is just constricted. So we need to open up and relax the pelvic floor. And one of the ways that we can do that is by, let me back up a little bit. I know Kegels. Everybody hear about Kegels before? Yeah, they're really popular. Well, about 80% of women do not need to do Kegels. 80% of women have a hyperactive pelvic floor. And so it's too constricted. So the more that we do Kegels, the more that we're going to tighten the pelvic floor and cut down our sensation and restrict ourselves from being able to experience pleasure genitally, yeah, intravaginally. So it's a whole myth, you know. I used to actually teach about working with jade eggs. Yeah?
How would a woman know if she's in the 20 or the 80?
Well, I do internal assessment, actually. I go inside and check the pelvic floor, and I can feel what the muscles are feeling like. But you can also do, mindful awareness, checking and just feeling. Like, we can do, I don't think I'm going to do it right now, but you can do, if you lay down and you just relax, and then think about a frightful experience and focus on what happens in your pelvic floor, because it happens all the time, especially also for women, because there's so much of not feeling safe that we contract to protect ourselves, right? So it doesn't even have to be a physical experience. It could be somebody is, comes out, they're walking behind us and we're walking down the street and we feel scared and the pelvic floor contracts, yeah? So in answer to your question, through mindful awareness, meditation, relaxation, we could imagine what it's like to have that experience and just notice. Yeah? So Kegels are important at times. Definitely there are women who do need Kegels, but first, and the Kegels come later, because in the pelvic floor we need tone and flexibility, and what is that called? Like the muscles being able to be flexible. Flexible, strength, and some other word that I'm not thinking of. Any yoga teachers here? Yeah, that's it. Elasticity. Thank you. So before we want to start doing Kegels, we want to learn how to do a reverse Kegel. And a reverse Kegel is all about relaxing the pelvic floor, right? So with a reverse Kegel, and we can try it right now. And actually, when doing this, you can notice, and this kind of noticing, it takes some practice. And it might not happen here in this room, because there's just a lot of energy here. So, you know, like when later on, remember this, when you're, you know, you can practice it. But so yeah, let's try that out. So if you close your eyes and just feel your center here right now. Feel your feet are on the ground, and through your spine, your tail is growing down all the way to reach down into Pachamama, so that you're connected with the earth. There's a dog. Keep your eyes closed. Okay. I don't know where that dog came from. Okay. Hey, Catherine. Thank you for being here. So so connecting through your spine down into the earth. You can feel your feet connected to the earth, and you can also feel from the crown of your head going up into the heavens. And feel this column of energy that connects you with all that is. We're connecting with the lower world, the Ukupacha, as they say in Quechua, the world of our ancestors, the Kai Pacha, this world that we live in where we are here present now, and with the Hanak Pacha, the world, the angelic realms. So there's this column of energy that always is existing, connecting us with everything. I'll be quiet so you can just feel that. Take a few deep breaths and feel this connection. And if you do close your eyes, it'll help you go inside even better. So now I am going to invite you to just try out a little Kegel, and if you don't know what that is, those are the piece that's squeezing the PC muscles. So if you were peeing and you stop the stream of urine and you squeeze, that's your PC muscle. So I invite you to just squeeze your PC muscle with an in-breath, and then with an out-breath, let your pelvic floor fully relax and bring your attention fully to your pelvic floor, right? Specifically your perineum, which is between your lingam, your penis, and your anus, or your vagina and your anus, or your yoni and your anus. And so if you just try that a few times and feel the sensation of when you squeeze and when you relax. And see if when you relax and let go, does your pelvic floor fully contract? And now, try out when you breathe in that your vaginal, your pelvic floor, imagine a rose at your pelvic floor. And as you're breathing, this rose is blooming. It's opening. Inhaling, your pelvic floor is fully relaxing, blooming. So the reverse Kegel, that's just a tiny little example, and this is really something that, with neuroplasticity, we have the ability to retrain our neural pathways. So when we've had a lot of constriction, it's kind of our normal baseline experience, right? So, but with practice, we can retrain, just like exercise. We retrain the muscles, and in this case, we want to retrain them to be relaxed. So please, I invite you to remember that. You can always contact me. I would love that. But the reverse Kegels, you're breathing in, the pelvic floor is relaxing, and as you breathe out, it just goes back to baseline, right? So we're practicing relaxing the pelvic floor. And this, my friends, is really what will help you to experience more pleasure in your yoni. So I guess I'm mostly talking to women, but you know what? Men have this experience also. There's this expression, don't be a tight ass, right? And it's really true, because when I talk about the pelvic floor, I'm really talking about the anus as well, where the prostate is in men, right? So we don't want so much constriction on the prostate. There's some statistic, I'm not that person that remembers, I have it there, but a very high percentage of men have prostate issues over the age of 70. I'm making that up, it's not exact, but they really do. And an aspect of that, thank you, an aspect of that is also that tension. So we're not just talking about women. And while we're talking about the prostate, I just want to mention that it is an incredible source of pleasure, and that there's so much shame around the anus. You know, we've been all taught that this is a dirty place. And I want to encourage you all that when you feel safe and you have somebody that you can try this out with, or see somebody like me who's a sexological body worker, we can explore the prostate and discover it as a source of pleasure, because it really is. And there's so much societal shame around that. And I have 5 minutes to go, so I'm just going to look and see what else I want to mention. Okay, so what I want to close with is, we talked about the direct and indirect touch and how we got shut down. And this is the answer about the question, why we don't ask for what we want. Because we have shame, because we have guilt, because we're embarrassed to ask for what we want. So what we all need to do, myself included, it's a path, it's a journey. You know, we're all recovering from so much conditioning that we've received, is we need to relearn what it is that we enjoy, what is pleasurable to us, and how do we ask for it. You know, is reclaiming our dignity, reclaiming our ability to ask for what we want without the shame, without the guilt, because we deserve pleasure. And I guess that was what I would close with, is that pleasure is our birthright. We all deserve pleasure, and each and every one of us. And so through all the things that I talked about before, about how it's been shut down, now that you're aware of it, you're empowered with knowledge to reclaim it, right? If we never really thought about something, then we just don't really know, but now you know. So I go out there and enjoy some pleasure. So it's ending that fear rules our desires. Yeah, fear up to now has been ruling our desire. So let's end that, and maybe let's just all join together as a group for one moment here. And I'm going to ask you to, let's just breathe in. I'll tell you when. We're going to breathe in, and we're going to say, let me think, I'm just making this up right now. I deserve pleasure. Okay? And I encourage you all, because we've been shut down with not asking for what we want. We've been shut down in our throat, in our expression, in our voice. So please, with your voice out loud, let's say together, I deserve pleasure. So inhale, let's have 3 inhales and exhales. So inhaling, exhale, inhale, exhale. Place your hand on your heart, and if you would like, on your genitals, please. Inhale, And exhale. And together. I deserve pleasure. 2 more times. Feel it. I deserve pleasure. 1 last time and really mean it. I deserve pleasure. Woo! Awesome. Yes? Yes, I'm going to tell you a little about that right now. Myself and Becca, that you might have seen speak on the main stage yesterday, she's done some workshops here. We have a workshop happening in Ecuador, 2 weeks. There's a flyer there. There's some of my cards. I do Skype sessions. You can also come. Sometimes people come down and work with me for a period of time in my village in Ecuador. And I have an email list, and I also have a book. And I'm available on my card, you can go to my website and you can order my book off Amazon. And it's called the Intimacy Adventure Playbook. It's for couples or partners or friends to play. 33 different explorations for deeper, hotter love connection. It's all about intimacy and communication in playful ways. So thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Anarchapulco, it's so hype, I'm trying to tell ya. This the event of the year and best vacation ever. Ron Potter, Jeffrey Tucker, just to name a few. Get your tickets, you don't wanna miss it. You should roll through. Talking politics to health and self-improvement to investing. So many things, not one thing. Learn how to live life unchained, yeah. 4 days vibing on the beach, time to connect. All about growth, way more than a conference. This is Anarchapulco, yeah. Let's go.
You ain't seen nothing yet.